This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, it's Jeff Cutterdime, and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, March the 21st, is a football player who kind of is partially controversial because of some stuff he did and all that. But he is still a free agent. He hasn't retired yet. He played college ball in Oklahoma. He was drafted 7th overall in the draft by the Vikings. He was a good running back and all that. He was a strong running back. And he has played for many teams after Minnesota. So he's going to play for 6 teams in the space of 6 seasons. He is 37 years old today, and he is Adrian Peterson, AP. One of the best running backs around. Unfortunately, Adrian Peterson's dad famously would be arrested for money laundering and all that. He was highly recruited in college, and he would be taken to Oklahoma, where he played 3 seasons for them. And even though Adrian Peterson was a rookie, he took second in Heisman Trophy voting behind the senior Matt Leinart. He was pretty good and all that. Oklahoma had a chance to win the 2004-05 national title, but they got crushed by the USC Trojans 55-19. As Reggie Bush really outdid Adrian Peterson. It was really good. AP was held to 82 yards, which is still decent. It could have been worse. Of course, Peterson broke NCAA freshman records and all that. In his sophomore season, unfortunately, he had a broken foot, so he couldn't really play much. He was still named to All Big 12. His junior season, Oklahoma looked good. His final collegiate game was against Boise State. In that famous 2007 Fiesta Bowl that saw Boise do the Statue of Liberty play. And then, not Statue of Liberty. Well, what was the other play? The lateral and all that. He almost became Oklahoma's all-time leading rusher. He missed by 73 yards to Billy Sims. He could have stayed for his senior campaigning and basically just, don't know that. The worst part for Peterson was that he missed some time due to injury, due to the fact he injured his collarbone. So he could have really been putting up numbers like 2004. So he decided to head to college and all that. And so the Minnesota Vikings said, hey, you know what? I think we can draft him. So they drafted him 7th overall. He was the first running back taken. But man, teams really missed out on him. Oakland took Jamarcus Russell from LSU at quarterback. Jamarcus Russell basically was a decent quarterback for LSU, but then once he got to the pros, he forgot his work ethic. He gained weight heavily, and he relied on his signing bonus too much. The Lions picked second and took Calvin Johnson, but I can't blame him. I mean, guy was a Lions legend. Cleveland took Joe Thomas third, the offensive tackle from Wisconsin. Can't blame Cleveland because Joe Thomas was a good player. Tampa took Gaines Adams, a defensive end who was a bust. I don't think they really needed a running back because I think they had a good running back. Arizona took Levi Brown, an offensive tackle from Penn State. They could have used AP, and Washington could have used AP instead of Landry, although he was a Pro Bowler. Anyway, he was signed to a 5-year, $40 million contract. So AP gave himself a chance to do well. He said he wanted to be NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. And he actually said he would rush for over 1,300 yards. Well, AP did much better than we all thought he did. Especially November 4th at home against the San Diego Chargers, when he broke the record for most rushing yards in one game with 296 on 30 carries and 3 touchdowns. So that was pretty good. That was almost 10 yards per rush. So that's pretty good and all that. And he got past the 1,000 rushing yard mark after just 8 games. The highest by a rookie in NFL history. Still to this day, I think. Unfortunately, though, the next week, Peterson injured his lateral ligament in his right knee against the Packers. So AP's record-breaking performance was the highlight, and he got hurt. But he did return to action after a month. He was the Pro Bowl MVP. And all that. He did win Rookie of the Year. I figured he definitely deserved it. So anyway, AP did well in his rookie campaign. 2008, he got 1,760 yards his sophomore season to lead the league in rushing, which was pretty good. And he got the Vikings to the playoffs, but they lost to the Eagles in the wild card. 2009, Peterson did okay. He got over 1,380 yards. In 2010, he was okay. But 2011 was problematic. He suffered a high ankle sprain. He got hurt thanks to a bad hit from a Washington player. He had problems. He had an ACL and MCL tear. In 8 months, it played in his first game in 8 months. He got 84 yards. However, that was just the beginning as he put up yards left, right, and center. With 1 week to go, he needed 208 yards to break the all-time rushing record set by Adrian Peterson, Eric Dickerson, 2,105 yards. The Vikings faced the Packers. And all of that. Peterson did his job. The Vikings could have given AP the ball to try to get 9 yards for the record. But the Vikings got the field goal, got to the playoffs, but Adrian Peterson missed the rushing record by 9 yards. How vexing was that? 9 freaking yards. But his 2,097 yards are second most. I mean, Chris Johnson didn't even break that mark. Or Derrick Henry didn't break that mark. AP became the 7th player to get 2,000 rushing yards in 1 year. The Vikings got to be the 6th seed. And the Packers got their revenge on the Vikings 24-10. He was named Offensive Player and MVP of the Year. And surprisingly, he could have been Comeback Player of the Year. Unfortunately, though, too, he lost that to Peyton Manning. So anyway, Peterson looked good. And then 2013 came along. All that. AP had troubles in the 2013 season. Peterson's 2-year-old son was in critical condition and died of injuries suffered from an assault by the mother's live-in boyfriend. But he still played and only had 1,266 yards. Not like his breakout season. Unfortunately, 2014 would really be his bad side. He looked okay. In his first game, he got 75 yards rushing, and then he was indicted on child abuse charges and deactivated for Minnesota's Week 2 game. He did play. He was supposed to play Week 2 against the Saints. However, Peterson was then placed on the exempt commissioner's permission list, as in the restricted list. Peterson said he would be back by Week 11. Unfortunately, though, he was put on suspension without pay. So AP really had a bad time. He was allowed to come back to the Vikings by June of 2015, and he did quite well for himself. He still did okay. Unfortunately, though, in 2016, he had yet another LCL injury and a right knee torn meniscus. So he only played 3 games for the Vikings in the 2016-17 season. The Vikings said they would not exercise Peterson's option, making him a free agent. So he signed with New Orleans. And ironically, his first game with the Saints happened against his former team, the Vikings, and the Saints got crushed on Monday Night Football. He only got 18 yards. Dalvin Cook put up numbers, so the Vikings made the right move in a sense, getting the right running back. He only played 4 games for the Saints, and then was traded to Arizona for a 6th-round pick. He did much better. His first game with the Cardinals, he scored 134 yards and 2 touchdowns in a win. Got himself Offensive Player of the Week in the NFC. Not bad. Unfortunately, he would have a neck injury and didn't do so well. He would only have 529 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in that season, 2017 season. In the 2018 season, Peterson would sign a veteran's contract with Washington because Washington had a lot of preseason injuries to their running backs. So he ran for 96 yards in the season opener, got himself to the top 10 in rushing yards. And then later on, he would score the 100th career rushing touchdown of his career. AP did a little bit better and all that. He still had 1,042 rushing yards, which was great. He would stay with Washington for the 2019 season. And in his time that he got all the way up to 5th place on the rushing yards list, which is pretty good. But Washington would release him just before the 2020 season started. Detroit said, well, let's roll the dice and take this guy. And he did quite well for them. He appeared in every game for the Lions and got 10 starts. He would share the backfield with DeAndre Smith and Kieran Johnson, but he still got 604 yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. And then he was unsigned. But Tennessee needed him badly because with Derrick Henry's injury. So they decided on the practice squad. He was promoted to the active roster and scored a touchdown. But then the Titans decided to waive him. He would move on to Seattle. And score a rushing touchdown against the Niners. He actually became the first player in NFL history to score a rushing touchdown with 6 different teams. So, to recap, Minnesota, Washington, Tennessee, Detroit, Seattle, and Arizona. Wow. So he has the most rushing yards in a single game still, to this day, is 296, and 2007 still is the record. Yeah, and he's a 3-time rushing yards leader. Overall, he's got 14,918 rushing yards in his career, 120 running touchdowns. Postseason, he only played in 5 postseason games for them, getting 412 yards. So yeah, so AP's father was sentenced to 10 years in prison for drug money laundering because they would also say all these things, all that. Peterson has 6 children. One of them, of course, died in that accident thanks to an alleged assault by the boyfriend of the child's mother. Peterson identifies himself as a Christian, though. I don't know. But the big problem was because of his punishment on his 4-year-old son. He needed to discipline his 4-year-old son, so the prosecution said that Peterson used a tree branch to beat his son repeatedly on his back, buttock, genitals, ankles, and legs. And Peterson said it was a switch, which was kind of a old-timey thing to try to rear his child and all that, a form of punishment. So anyway, sends like slash wounds. I mean, once would help, but you know, AP was like, this place that unfortunately he got himself a little bit of trouble in 2018 when he said he still disciplines his son with a belt. Like the whole thing with the switch, I thought that it would have been enough for him to back off a bit. I know that, it's the whole South thing that they do it in the South and all that, and it's acceptable. But, you know, you just do it once because once is almost often enough if you want to do that sort of thing. But to keep doing that over and over again, you don't know how much it does to the psyche of the child and how the cycle of abuse keeps going on and on. But that's just me. Anyway, I'm jumped. I'm going to do.